Welcome. Whether this is your first time sitting the test, or you've sat the test before in the past, or maybe you're even just curious about to see if you have what it takes to sit the test, the free police practice test will empower you to know if you've got what it takes to sit each component of the academic assessment. If you're ready to get started and jump straight in, click the orange button, sign up with your free account, sit the test, and you'll get instant results showing you how well you've gone in each component of the academic assessment. If you'd like to find out a little bit more about each of the tests first, stay with me a little longer. First off, the numeracy. The numeracy test is a 35-minute test with 30 questions. However, some of those questions have multiple answers of multiple true, false, or multiple yes, no responses, which kind of fills it out to about 35 questions anyway. So you've roughly got about 1 minute per question. So you do need to be mindful of the time as you're going through the test. The pass mark is based on the Australian Core Skills Framework, and it says in the police handbook the number 111 plus, or if you're going for one of the other police roles, it may be a little lower, such as 107 plus. What this roughly means is you need a pass mark of about 60% on the day. When you're doing a practice environment, I always suggest you try and aim a little bit higher. So on the day, if there's any surprises or you're just not feeling 100%, you know you still can comfortably pass this component, or the numerical component of the police application test. Next up, we've got the literacy component. The literacy test is also a 35-minute assessment over 30 marks. So you read 5 different passages and answer a range of questions. Now it says 30 questions, but once again, this can be substantially more due to multiple questions being on one page of your answer section. The literacy test is also marked on the Australian Core Skills Framework and has a pass mark of 111 plus, again about that 60% mark. And I will say again, I do recommend you try and sit at least 10% higher, if not more, ideally 75% on these tests, to know that you will comfortably pass no matter the situation on the day. Abstract reasoning is probably the test I get the most amount of questions about, and feel free at any point, if you have any questions, do send me an email and I will get back to you. The time you have for the abstract reasoning test is 20 minutes and there are 45 questions. So it's a very fast-paced test. And you have got about 26 seconds per question set to identify different frames, patterns, and rules of pictures to see which one best answers the question. This test also has a very high pass mark of about 71%, or 32 questions out of 45 questions. I do recommend you in practice try and get over 80% here, because there will always be some patterns you find very easy on the day and some patterns you find quite complex and just cannot identify. The next component we want to talk about is verbal reasoning. So verbal reasoning is a linguistical skills assessment. This test has the lowest pass mark of about 45%. It has 34 questions and you've got 15 minutes to complete this test. With this test, most of the questions are about your vocabulary, so ability to think about synonyms or like words with the same meaning. But there are a lot of questions about the order of events and things that you can sit down and puzzle out or match components together. And the last section that we've got in this practice test for you is the digital literacy. So the digital literacy test, you've got 20 minutes to answer 20 questions. This test is all on computer skills, internet, and computer safety. So here it does have a pass mark of what's called 107 plus on the Australian Core Skills Framework. I still recommend definitely getting a pass mark of over 60, but ideally in this situation, 70 or even 80% plus is not unreasonable, because it is a lot of general knowledge and the questions you get on the day will rotate. So one test to the next test will have different questions, and some questions you may be more familiar with, say the program, looking at Word or Excel, or looking at what the HTTPS on a website, the S stands for. Some things you might know in more depth and others you may not. So getting a higher score here in practice definitely will give you the confidence to sit down and pass that test on the day. There are 3 components which are not included in this free practice test. I'll still cover them for you now. The first one is the extended writing. The extended writing is a 45-minute test where you have to read a passage, analyze it, and see how you feel about the information provided. There'll be some pros and cons on a particular topic, and you have to provide your opinion over a structured essay, similar to a structured persuasive essay, on whether you agree or disagree or somewhat about what the information that's been provided and the topic, and provide evidence based on what you've read. You have 45 minutes to write your response, and I do recommend you sitting down and practicing that. The other writing task is a summary writing task, where you've been given an article and you have to try and read and summarize that task in 20 minutes. Again, this is something that I'd recommend you practice. You need to know that you can complete these tasks of reading and writing within the time limit. Both the writing tasks have a pass mark of 14 out of 20 or 70%. The reason why they're not included in the practice test is because I would have to mark your essay, so I can't give you that instant response or that instant feedback. The final component is an oral presentation, where you're provided with a short video of an event that takes place. You watch that video, and then you have to respond to 5 questions just by clicking record on the computer. And you have to respond answering questions about what some of the components that were in that video. So you can practice that video. You can practice just by watching the news and summarizing or describing what happened in a given news article. Again, the pass mark for the oral presentation is 14 out of 20, so about 70%. One final piece of information I'll leave you with: you're given one piece of working out paper for all of the tests. So it is something you want to utilize, but make sure you use the space wisely, as it is your only piece of paper. And you will put your notes, your planning, your working out, all of that on this piece of paper, and it can be the difference between passing and not passing your academic assessment. Now that you're familiar with all the components within the test, click on the button to create your free account and see if you're ready to sit the police entrance exam.